We're stealing worm eggs and dodging mandibles. That's right, it's Terror Below from Renegade Game Studios. This monster huntin', hat packin' strategy game pits 2 to 5 desert folk against the weapons of remote massacre. Government experiments gone wrong and let loose in the rubble-strewn canyons of Nevada. Setup begins with the game board placed center. Place the 5 location tiles on their spaces marked with a bull skull. The government facility, motel, general store, state police, and hospital. Separately shuffle and place the bounty deck, vehicle deck, weapon deck, and item deck. Take the worm cards and set aside the 4 starting worm cards denoted with a black border. Shuffle the remainder to form the worm deck and place it near the bottom of the board. Place the 3 target tokens in the worm card slots on the terror zone of the board. Place all the tokens and pieces nearby, along with the worm standees. Then draw and reveal 4 cards from the bounty deck along the top row of the board. This is known as the bounty line. Next, each player receives a pawn and player aid with the matching vehicle icon, along with 1 randomly drawn item card, 1 weapon card, and 3 vehicle cards. The item and weapon cards remain hidden from other players, but the vehicle cards form the player's hand. The hand size limit is 3 cards. Finally, shuffle the 16 character cards and deal 3 to each player, who then selects 1 character to be their leader, placing the other 2 underneath in any order. Now it's time to place the worms. Worm cards include an egg color, worm type, starting coordinates, attack pattern grid, health, and card limit. To set up the starting worms, resolve each one at a time, placing an egg of the color type on the starting coordinates. Next, place rubble in each of the shaded spaces displayed on the attack pattern grid. There's a max of 2 rubble per space. One caveat, eggs and rubble cannot be placed on locations. If an egg would be placed on a location, roll the coordinate dice and place the egg in the rolled result instead. After resolving the 4 starting worm cards, draw and resolve additional worm cards from the worm deck depending on the number of players. 1 worm for 3 players, 2 worms for 4 players, 3 worms for 5 players. Finally, draw a worm from the worm deck and place it face up at the leftmost terror slot, and place the matching numbered target token on the board in the coordinates listed. Do this for all 3 slots in the terror zone. The player who most recently defeated a worm in combat is the starting player. Starting with the last player and proceeding counterclockwise, everyone places their pawn on a location of their choice. Pawns cannot share spaces. Gameplay occurs in turns, starting with the first player and proceeding clockwise. Turns consist of 4 steps: play a vehicle card, perform actions, refill hand, check for worm attack. First up, play a vehicle card allows the active player to place a vehicle card face up from their hand to one of the worms in the 3 terror slots. Each worm's card limit on the bottom right represents the maximum number of cards that can be played on that worm. Resolve the played card by first distracting the worm. Move the matching terror token of the selected worm along the grid as indicated on the bottom of the vehicle card, resolving the icons from left to right. Skip any icons that would move the worm off the grid. Next, perform actions allows the player to take a number of actions equal to the action points on the top of the chosen vehicle card. Each action takes 1 point. Actions include move, which allows a player to move their pawn 1 space orthogonally. A pawn may not move into a space containing rubble. They may move through or into a space with another player's pawn, but they may not end their movement in that space. Ramp allows a player to jump over an adjacent pawn of another player, provided there's an open space to land orthogonally from the jumped pawn. Remove allows the player to take 1 rubble from a space orthogonally adjacent to their pawn and place it on their leader card. Once a leader collects 3 rubble, they immediately discard them to the general supply and may take a reward of 1 item or 1 weapon card from the respective deck. Pickup allows the player to take all the eggs in their current space and place them on their leader. There's no limit to how many eggs a leader may carry, but taking this action ends the player's action phase, so save it for the end. Deliver allows the player to deliver 1 egg in their possession to a location where their pawn currently resides. Delivered eggs award the player 1 victory point. Discard the egg to the supply and take the point. However, if an egg delivery fulfills one of the face-up bounty cards on the bounty line, or possibly a hidden bounty card in the player's hand, they score more points. Instead of taking the 1 victory point token, they take the bounty card and place it under their leader card. Refill the bounty line if needed. Additionally, the location where the delivery occurs also grants a bonus depending on the spot. After resolving the actions, the played vehicle card's ability resolves. Follow the instructions on the center of the card. Cards with high numbers of actions have negative abilities, while low-numbered cards have positive abilities. The player then refills their hand back up to 3 vehicle cards. Before play passes to the next player, check for a worm attack. If the card limit on any of the worms in the terror zone has been reached, the worm attacks. Resolve the attack in the following way. First, check if there are any face-down cards on that worm. Flip them and resolve just their distraction step, moving the terror token as indicated. Then, place an egg matching the color of the attacking worm on the space where the target token is now located. Place 1 rubble on each of the shaded spaces on the attack grid, and remember, a maximum of 2 rubble per space. Discard the worm card and draw a new one to replace it, moving the terror token to the new coordinates. After resolving, if any player's pawn is in a space where rubble or eggs were placed this turn, they must battle the worm. Any players caught in the worm's path of destruction may use their item or weapon cards to fight the beast. In reverse turn order, starting with the battling player who last took a turn, each person uses their cards, attempting to deal damage equal to or exceeding the health total on the worm's card. If they succeeded, all players are safe. The player that dealt the killing blow receives credit for the kill and 1 victory point token. Or, if there's a bounty related to killing a worm type, they may cash that in instead. If the players cannot defeat the worm, the leader of any player caught in the attack dies. Drop all rubble and eggs they're carrying onto their current space. Any active weapons are discarded. Remove the player's pawn from the board and flip the leader to their deceased side, then choose a new leader from the remaining characters. On their next turn, the player's pawn will spawn at an unoccupied location of their choosing, and then performs their turn as normal. If a player ever loses all 3 of their characters, they're eliminated. Gameplay continues until one player reaches 20 victory points to win the game. Once you've got a handle on these mechanics, you can try the canyon side of the game board, which includes special movement rules for jumping the gap and more desert for players to roam. And that's Terror Below. I'm Becca Scott, and you can watch me and my friends play this game and other awesome games on Game.